Yeah, I guess the most recent notable amendment to the Copyright Act would be the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Once again, another vehicle of the last century that we saw in the 90s. And what happened is with the advent of digital technology and with it becoming more and more of a distribution model, and with it becoming more and more of a means by which people could reproduce content easily, and then later not only easily but inexpensively, we've seen Congress create a series of laws through the 90s that were Band-Aid attempts to shore up the losses that those who were controlling the content were experiencing as a result of these technological changes. The DMCA being, I guess, the watershed one of most recent past, and it had a lot of different aspects. Really, they boil down to about 4 different things, but for our purposes, I guess what we're looking at from a practical standpoint is it created safe harbors for internet service providers to allow people to freely use the internet as a means of sharing content without the fear that they may be liable for the transgressions or infringements of some of their remote clients. And I mean, that seems like a small point, but it's a huge deal, and I think a smart decision. When we started seeing the internet become a major distribution vehicle for content, immediately we had jurisdictional problems because the internet knows no jurisdiction. So people in California can upload content that people in Tennessee can download, and whose laws are going to prevail, and really the values of those 2 states, for example, might be radically different. What might be considered pornography in one place may not be in another, and who's ultimately liable for these transgressions, not only just the infringement aspects if there are any, but just the other notions that may be offended by this type of thing. And so the question became, well, who has the deep pocket? We'll go after those people. The internet service providers were the deep pockets. They were the conduit by which this type of information could be distributed. And so there were lawsuits that arose in which perhaps if there were an infringement claim being filed, some of the parties that might be named would be people that were really only involved in the transmission through their pipes, so to speak. And so the DMCA in part somewhat addressed this issue. It also gave greater teeth to, it kind of created some sanctions that were much stronger in the copyright infringement setting, especially geared towards piracy, and not only having civil sanctions, meaning those sanctions that result in monetary fines, but it also created criminal sanctions as well for certain types of copyright infringement in particular. So for my purposes and related to the music business, that's the 2 most relevant aspects.